Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. Today, I am with Philip with Wunderkind, and I am so excited to showcase your amazing store. We're right here on the border of Scottsdale and Paradise Valley. Such a unique space, unique shopping experience. So I just wanted to find out all about it, how it got started, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, so first things first, when did you get started? How did you get started? And tell us a little bit about what the store entails.
So we opened in January of 22. So we're only open for a little over a year.
Yeah, brand new.
And I am not from here, but I'm from New York originally.
Okay.
And I lived in New York until I was 28, and then I moved to Los Angeles, and I lived there for 6 years.
Okay.
And then I moved here to open the store.
Okay, so both fashion hubs, and I think Scottsdale, Paradise Valley area is kind of a trailing between those two hubs, but
Yes,
still
yes.
very nice.
So I opened the store here. It's my first store. We just opened our second store actually in California 3 weeks ago. But
Wow.
the store here.
So you're moving quick.
I'm moving quick, but I tell people I'm done being pregnant. So no more stores for a while.
Okay, very
Yeah.
nice. So, but that's what a huge undertaking that, just the process of opening your first store and, that's just coming out of COVID and,
Yep.
that's very, very cool. So what's been the response to the space?
Well, people love it. I haven't really heard a negative thing about it, which is great. That means that we have to keep operating at such a high level because I want people to really enjoy
You
themselves.
set the bar high.
Yes, and I want them to come back, and I want them to bring friends, and I want them to find things they love. But it's been great because so Phoenix is the fifth largest city in the U.S., which I'm sure you know, and most cities of this size have stores like this.
Okay.
So like New York, Los Angeles, Miami, Chicago, like all of those big cities have stores like this.
And probably more than one.
And for whatever reason, for as long as I've been in retail, which is now 15 years, Scottsdale has been skipped over. There hasn't been a store that's carried this kind of range of products for as long as I've been aware of other specialty stores in other markets. So, which is why I picked Scottsdale, because I knew that it was a big city,
filling a need,
Scottsdale, Phoenix, big city, filling a niche, and I knew that the clientele was here.
Absolutely. So I guess tell us then a little bit more about the curation of merchandise and the collections that are in here. How does that come to be? What type of collections do you have?
So I pick every single thing that's in the store. I designed the store myself. I pick every piece of merchandise you see here. I go to New York and I go to Europe 4 times a year to pick everything here. Lots of European, some American, but mostly Italian, French, Belgian, Japanese. But yeah, these are some of the best brands in the world, and a lot of things we have here are not available in this market. I also, when I buy brands that are available at other partners in this market, such as the department stores, I do ask my vendors to make sure that I'm not buying the same things as they have, just so everybody has their own thing.
Absolutely.
And people know when they're coming here that they're probably going to get something they're not going to see somewhere else.
And that if they buy something that probably nobody else around them is going to have
it. And if they're wearing it, then they bought it here. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. So the shopping trips have to be pretty memorable, pretty cool aspect of your job.
That's probably the most fun part of my job because it's really second nature to me. I've been doing this for such a long time. I have no issue picking. I know what I like.
Guess. You're like, no, I'm not sure.
I know what I like, and I have so many years of just like knowledge of what people have bought and what they haven't bought and what has fit and what has not fit and what has been like pushing the boundary, what has been exactly what people wanted. But yeah, no, the selection is the fun part, and then the real work begins. Placing the orders, making sure the orders deliver on time, stuff like that, making sure things fit when they come in. But the selection process is always enjoyable.
It's very cool. So I guess tell us about that history. I know you've been in the business for 15 years. So what was your journey up to this point?
So I began my career at 19, and I was working for a store in New York, which is no longer a business, called Jeffrey New York. And Jeffrey had two locations, New York and Atlanta, Georgia. And it was, I know that I'm biased, but it was the coolest store in New York. It was about 10,000 square feet, so three times the size of this store. Men's and women's, only designer. So like, I was buying Chanel, I was buying Dior, I was buying, Balenciaga, Bottega Veneta, Dries Van Noten. I mean, every amazing brand. I was
at 19.
Well, I started working there as a cashier.
Okay.
And I was a cashier for a few months, and then I went on the sales floor. I did that for about a year. And then I turned 21 on my first European buying trip. So I started buying these kinds of collections when I was 21.
So what was your knowledge base prior to? I mean, because that's super young.
Well, I have been obsessed with fashion for my entire life. For as long as I can remember, that was always my thing. When I used to like draw dresses like on napkins and stuff when I was little. My first real like job that I got paid for when I was 13, I worked for a woman who had a consignment store in my town. And she would bring over clothing like in a big garbage bag, and I would photograph it, measure it, and put it up on eBay for her. But it was designer clothing. So I started working with like, Alaya dresses and Hermes dress shirts and all things.
From the beginning.
I know. I got a taste for that very young. And then I lived in New York, and I lived on Long Island, which was, a 45-minute train ride to Manhattan. And I used to just go into the city by myself. My parents thought that I was at a friend's house, and I was a huge liar. But I would tell them, go to my friend's house. They were, I was kind of raised free range, like no news is good news, like whatever. So I would go into Manhattan, and I would go to like Barney's, and I'd go to Bergdorf's, I'd go to Saks, and I just loved to look at all of that stuff. I loved to touch it. I was never afraid to walk into a store. I never got the like,
zone.
Yeah, I never got the like, I can't afford anything in here. I mean, I was 13 years old. I couldn't, but I wasn't afraid to go in there, and I thought it was really a great educational experience to really see these brands and see cool displays like in Barney's. And so I've always had this innate, desire to learn and to touch and to.
It's amazing. It was always there, and you just honed in on those skills and you went with it. And to have a space like this just a short time later is
very
incredible.
Rewarding. Very rewarding to have my own store. It kind of feels like this is what I have been training for.
And you just did it much quicker and started much younger than most.
I got really lucky. I had really good teachers. I worked, Jeffrey, an amazing teacher. And then when I lived in Los Angeles, I worked for Elise Walker, who is, a living legend. And I really learned a lot from them. I made relationships with all of these brands, which is why most people who open their first store could never get literally any of these brands in a store.
Right.
But because I have known these people, some of these people have known me since I'm 21 years old. So when I said I was opening my own store in a market that didn't already have a store, they were like, of course.
Yeah.
There was no like, let me ask. It was like, we know you. You're a decent human being. You have good taste. We know it's not going to be like some whack store.
Right.
So like, let's do it.
Trial and error, yeah.
So I got pretty lucky.
So tell us about the shopping experience somebody could expect when they come in.
So we're not in the mall. So this is a destination store, which means that people have to come here to experience it. Mm-hmm. And that said, some days are not super busy. So when you come in here, there's going to be somebody who's going to be able to spend some time with you. I don't really think that we're understaffed. I think we have a nice amount of people working here. Mm-hmm. So if you were to come in and you were looking for a dress, like there's somebody who's like, they're here for you. They're have a knowledge base to
truly help and understand the needs.
And because we carry things from different price points, and so we have a contemporary store, designer, and then there's fine jewelry, shoes and handbags, and home accessories. Because we carry everything, we can get you ready for anything. Okay. So if you're like, I have to go to a black tie thing, okay, we're like, okay, great, you're in a gown now. Let's grab you a shoe. Let's get you a bag, and you're done. Or if you're like, honestly, I just need some like new tank tops for the summer. Like we have that too. So we can kind of outfit you for whatever
Going
you
on
need.
vacation, going on this trip, going to a wedding, you got it.
I hate all my bathing suits. Okay, we have some of those. You know, like we have like I need a new pair of sunglasses. Great, we've got that. Like
I
it's
love
kind
it.
of like a shrunk down department store.
But again, with like the high level of curation of the merchandise, there's no fluff or garbage that you don't need to bother looking at.
No,
It's
I
like
mean
everything in here is gorgeous.
everything here is here for a reason. You know, like I don't just buy to buy. Like when I go into a showroom, like a showroom for a designer could be like as big as this room with this many things to look at, and I for my store pick like 6 of them. So when I'm picking those 6 things,
They have to be special.
they're like the 6 things to have.
Awesome. I
Yeah.
love that. So we'll this is just we're in the handbags and shoes
Yes.
section. So we'll
Yes.
definitely give everybody kind of a little tour of the rest of the store. So where do people find you? What's the best way to reach you?
So we are at 7293 North Scottsdale Road.
Very convenient location.
Great location. We are actually in the shopping center that's right next to Roca Accor. So if people know where that is, which most people do.
Go grab a sushi lunch after
Yeah.
after you do some shopping.
Yeah, it's great. Like go there for happy hour after we close. And on Instagram we are at shop_Wunderkind or www.shopwunderkind.com.
Perfect. We'll include all that information for everybody, but you truly need to experience this space to really appreciate it. It is incredible.
Thank you.
You could have one of everything. Break the bank, but yeah, it's an incredible place. So I hope you guys all can come and visit. Such an incredible space, unique again for the Valley. Something for everybody for sure. So thank you once again for joining us. If you have a small business that you would like featured, please reach out to us. We love our community. We love real estate and we love helping people. Again, I'm Laura Jewett with the Inspired Living Real Estate Collective. Thank you for joining us.